Welcome, everybody, to Empathy Podcast. Once again, we are here in the studio today with Lasse Topbjerg.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm here.
Welcome today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. A little bit tired from working night shifts, but nothing too. No, I'm doing good.
That's where we.
It's nice to be here.
That's very good to hear, and definitely I'm glad to have you today as well as a guest on the podcast. So, Lasse, you have been working in many fields of artistic expression and music, and you work as well under an artist name called Visionary Viking. If that's still the proper name of your project.
That name is sort of. It feels a little bit like a relic from the past.
Yeah.
In a sense that I'm thinking about I need to sort of probably just use my name going forward. But there has been a time where that is my handle on social media.
Yeah.
Sort of my little superhero alter ego.
You're the archetype of your own project and your own ideas coming together into creating something that's that can be a hero, as you were saying, a superhero.
It has been kind of that, and I think the name Visionary Viking was just years ago. When I was first starting out, I got invited to paint at a party, like live paint a painting.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't have any social media or anything, and the guy who was organizing, he was like, well, you need to have a name or something. I said, okay, Visionary Viking. It sounds good.
Sound like the best way to combine to create like a hero brand and at the same time to have like a anchoring maybe in Nordic roots and cultural roots.
That was some of that, because at that time I was living in Australia, so I was as far away from home as I possibly could be, nearly. So it seemed like a lot of people I met when I said I was from Denmark, they have this Vikings, and so I thought, okay, let's go with that, and
Yeah, for sure.
And also an interest in my ancestors, of course, and but like I said, these days now it's I'm less identified with that sort of I don't know if you call it a brand or
it's also maybe good to reinvent sometimes your brand and to open up to have something that's not as defined sometimes. Always.
Yes. Especially I say like the whole visionary. I mean, that was probably my sort of starting point into art and music. This whole visionary realm, which I guess we can speak a lot about, but I was definitely very sort of centered in that, let's say, genre and scene of art, visionary art, which in a sense I still am, but less so than, well, in a different way, because I have changed, and my interest and my way of life is quite different now than it was, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago. So
for sure. So and how when we're talking about an artist being a visionary, really, it how can that kind of like lead us into what do you think is the visionary element to art that an artist can bring to society and to the community and to culture as a whole? Like what do you think is the visionary element to this, and how come you're thinking so much about visionary element in your own art and in your own artistic project?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. Visionary. I think I've always been a very curious person, and from an early age, I explored my dreams, at night, and I learned how to lucid dream, to sort of go into this altered state and explore, and this, say, curiosity and desire to understand myself and the world and a human psyche has led me down many interesting paths in life. And what sort of catapulted my visual art and also music, which came later on, was this journey in Australia, where I at some point stumbled upon plant medicines called, especially one called ayahuasca, that some people probably have heard of, and met people who worked with these with this plant in particular in a very safe and therapeutic setting, and that's where, for me, the visionary aspect sort of, it was literally like visions. I had visions. I in this ceremonial setting, I would see sort of dreamlike images would like flood my mind, and paintings and colors and patterns, and I was already sort of drawing a little bit, but this experience sort of it led me to pick up painting in a very direct way. So I worked with this sort of having visions, images, and then painting, and it was a very interesting, transformative process to work with these sort of symbols and pictures I would see in these states and bring them back.
Yeah, it's something about actually going towards the boundaries, maybe, from yourself, your own experience of traveling abroad and traveling into not just our physical travel, but also our spiritual travel, as many people approach this process of this psychedelic trip that you can get with our substance like ayahuasca. It's to many people is something that in many cultures, especially in shamanistic cultures, you see actually the rite of drinking the ayahuasca tea as kind of a journey towards the underworld. Yeah. And when you come back, you have changed. Yeah. It's actually a rite in some way of transition. Sure. And then when you return to the surface, you have kind of like transcended in a way your previous state of mind, and in that way it also comes back to, I guess, the idea of the Viking going into as an explorer, So maybe it's this idea of visionary and this idea of also the explorer mentality. It can kind of like I guess it's also something that can that kind of like allows an exploration of the boundaries between the different kind of state of mind that you can enter into, also through the use of arts.
For sure. I mean, there's many ways to go into these altered states, meditation, dreams, as I said, in these ceremonial settings or even casual, and just to tie it back in with where I see sort of the importance of art and how especially with working with these plants, and how it helped me was to bring something back. You know, I could go on a journey but it's hard to, you know, put into words. But with art, it felt like I could explore these all these parts of myself and states and experiences, and I could actually bring something back, and I could share it with the community. And this sort of opened my eyes to the importance of art, and also historically. You know, I imagine even back to cave paintings, these people or shamans who would go deep into the caves and whatever they were experiencing, you know, to paint on the walls. And there's definitely something to it. There's like an experience of going into dialogue with something and learning this symbolic language.
That's also, I guess, a big mystical element to it.
Yeah, for sure.
To, of course, the psychedelic tradition as well as the artistic tradition. In a way, it's art can often be a way to create a kind of like I would say. Art is often a conveyor of a kind of methodology in a way to create a mythos, you know.
Yeah.
And in the same way, you go on an ayahuasca trip where a shaman can be a guide in order to understand a mystic world, in order to understand the underworld, in order to understand the subconscious in a way, which it really translates to. I guess in a similar way, the artist is a master of the mysterious, the realm of the mysterious, the realm of the of the culture that transcends normality in a way. I guess
I wouldn't call myself a master in any of these things. I'm definitely an explorer, and I'm very curious, and I've found a lot of both healing and meaning in exploring these parts of myself.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess also that that in a way it's weird to also think about what is really creating the kind of like the effect of the process of the ritual of diving essentially into like a subconscious realm, which is also what you do every time. I think at least it's what you do every time you experience a work of art, is to delve into the sea, so to see,
for sure.
To delve into a sea of inner currents in a way.
One thing I found very interesting was, one thing was, I got this idea of, yes, I was creating works of art, but there was also, especially certain paintings, or also with music, more of a sense of receiving, being receptive to receive a painting, as like sort of seeing a work of art as it has its own substance, it's something. So one thing it taught me was to be receptive, and this idea of listening, but maybe not in the traditional way that, I'm listening to a bird, but sort of an inner listening, and then being open to receive whatever it is, because I come from a background where I didn't consider myself either like an artist. I couldn't paint, I couldn't play music, I couldn't. But that was one thing. These explorations sort of helped open me up to the possibilities of who I am and what I can do and what I, it's like it definitely broadened the scope of what creativity is. Whereas I think there's a lot of beliefs culturally also. It's like, some people are just creative, and you hear people like, oh no, I'm not creative. I'm like, well, if you say so, then I think then it's probably true. But I think everyone definitely has well, we are all creative beings, and that was definitely something that the journeys with ayahuasca or just traveling opened this field to me of more like the core of who I am, what I am is creativity. Is creative.
It's what you do.
Yeah, and
and it also brings to mind this idea of culture as a large, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess that part of the idea of traveling, of being an explorer, is also to visit cultures that are in a way strange toward you. And in reality, one can think about culture as something that has been as kind of like ideas that has been created throughout the ages, that then comes together into this sea of unconsciousness. And I know that from our previous talks that you have been influenced in some degree by the writing of Carl Jung, which brings us to this Jungian idea of the collective unconsciousness, as well. Which just to explain for people who may be unfamiliar with it, the idea of the collective unconscious is the idea that all individuals, all people, they essentially share a level of ideas and a level of cultures that are influencing them, but they are influencing all humans essentially. Thus, they are collective. This is behavior. This is ideas that has been inherited from generation to generation to generation, and that is built upon. And is in some idea also the idea of culture itself, I guess. So in that idea, culture is essentially a structure that kind of like that kind of like communicates or kind of like shapes us on every day, so which is also why it's important. It can be a powerful experience to move out of our familiar culture and move into our mystical culture, because it can in turn give you not just a temporary state of change of your thoughts and change of your mindset, but it can permanently shape you. It can permanently infuse you with the energies of the mysterious culture, so to say. It can permanently influence you with the ideas of something that is larger, essentially.
I think I mean, in our current culture, like the word mystical is not something we really, it's not spoken about a lot, this sort of aspect of life. And definitely from traveling and going to places where, like India or I guess Australia to a certain degree, from the old culture there, or South America, where these things are more celebrated and still alive, like the mythology, let's say, like in the jungle of Peru, is very much a living thing. It's not like a story that they have told and then the story is done. It's like this is a living, and let's say, tapestry, which they're still in contact with, and they're using. And I mean, you mentioned Carl Jung, and he's always sort of been in a mild interest, let's say, and then over the last couple of years, since sort of returning to Denmark, he's been more sort of prevalent, because one thing is going to explore these different sort of foreign cultures, but I guess what's really important for me now personally is to understand how, like my own culture, because it seems to a certain degree to have this meaningful life. It's not enough to just sort of go to India and adopt their, belief structure, because it's not where I'm from. I mean, right. I can explore, and I can see and get access to certain realms. I mean, like for many years, the sort of South American like jungle, this kind of mythology and these kind of energies that I was exploring in ceremonies, and that seemed meaningful, and was talking to me, these archetypes, let's say. But now again, to Carl Jung, it's not mission, but it's like how to integrate these things, how to sort of live a meaningful life where you are, and like in the everyday life.
Yeah, to find. Yeah, I guess at one point you can bring yourself to the question: do you really do we? How much is hidden? In just our everyday life, in our everyday community. How many places that can be deemed, some people with regard maybe as being sacred spaces, or secret places, or secret societies, or secret ideas. How many people, how many of these things you can discover if you just are more familiar with integrating maybe the mystical subconscious elements of yourself into your everyday life.
But one thing I really, when it comes to Jung, is this. He's quite sort of. I mean, I first of all have to say I'm not an expert at all. I'm curious, and I can share my own experiences. But from what I get, with Jung is like this. It's the sort of the balance of all these elements. You have the mystical sort of realm of this human psyche, but you also have this everyday creature. This very human aspect. I mean, maybe to paint a sonic pictures, like you have this element of of a bird that wants to go all the way up to the cosmos, but you also have this little rat that wants to be on the ground, and these forces, they sort of have to cooperate. And that's where I think Jung was very sort of adamant about the darkness, the sort of the depths, where in one thing I've noticed in my travels and also in myself a lot is this tendency to just want to go towards the up into let's say the light, or
Yeah, I actually, here's a quote of Jung that says, "The sea is like music. It has all the dreams of the soul within itself and sounds them over." So in that idea, I guess Jung also looks at, in this case, the sea as it's a symbol for the subconsciousness. As a symphony in a way, you know, of different kind of like undercurrents of in some way regard aesthetic ideas and phenomenological ideas, like phenomenological in the sense that it is not so much things you think about, but more things you experience. You know, that in the sea of basically the human who is just experiencing complete immersion into the senses, right?
Yeah.
Then you know you have this then the self kind of like can enter like a state of self hypnosis in a way. Where you are kind of like being hypnotized by these undercurrents in a way, and in that regard, it also brings to mind what do you think is the role of the musician or the artist? In a way, I guess it's also to not just be an experiencer, but also to be one who gives rise to new currents.
Yeah, like a bridge. I think that way art is very important, you know, for a culture to renew itself. But also just, I guess, personally, it's like in order to renew myself, music and art has been an amazing tool for self-discovery, for self-transformation, and for integration of experiencing these currents is a good way to say it, and sort of, I mean, when it comes to, you asked about music, but I'll just with the visual art, because there is an element of hypnosis, sort of a thing you call static arrest, where you take something from sort of that arises inside you and you put it outside yourself. And I had a lot of experience where it's like the sort of the conscious chatter monkey mind really stops because it's incomprehensible in a sense. It's like it breaks this sort of it breaks the sort of the pattern of the familiar, like something new arises and enters. And I mean that in that sense, a painting can be like a portal, has been for me, or sort of an object to meditate on and be in dialogue with. And from this space, I have experienced like music arises. It's like so there's this dance going on between the visual and the sonic, like music. So they kind of inspire each other.
They're just different currents in the sea of.
There's so many ways you can express, so this idea of like, oh, I'm a visual artist, I'm this and that is kind of limiting, I'd say, and based upon, having to fit into the sort of make a living. Of course, you have to do that, but it's I think it takes some courage as an artist to be sort of, whatever sort of calls me, and then it's more of a personal journey more than a sort of career, as I'm gonna go be a painter. And it's like that's good, you have to think about these of course these practical elements of it, but I think the true sort of there's a freedom in being able to be open to receive in whatever way. And for me, started as a drawing, painting, and then music came after. Because once going through this, from coming from a place where, I sort of very insecure about what I could do and not allowing myself to sort of dream and trust with painting, and allowing myself to go into it and paint and to have a lot of trust and to explore that. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, okay, what else is there that I can do that I didn't think? And then that's where music sort of jumped in, and it's been a very, very beautiful journey.
Talking about musical images, musical colors in a way, and how they interconnect. Would you might to play a tune?
Yes.
I can see you just to dip into this idea of
sure.
the.
It's funny you mentioned colors because you know, when I first started with colors, I was just sort of painting the rainbow or the human chakra system. I guess that's how I understood it. You know, there's a lot of color theory, but it sort of paying attention to how colors mix. You know, how this spectrum goes from one color to another. And then when I came to music, I not classically trained, but just listening to how different chords and sounds, sort of becoming aware of this harmonic spectrum, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I started playing, and all of a sudden there was melodies and some songs came, and yeah. All right, so to play a song, it's been more an experience of like I've wrote a bunch of songs, but they all sort of like one big tapestry. They could all sort of blend and mix in together. Okay. And there's a lot of songs about the ocean. So I'll sing one of them. And it's a mix of Danish and English, because I like to play with the language.
Yeah.
Okay. And your waves, they roll on in. It's your waves, they roll on in. Wash away the pain, wash away the remnants of the past. Oh, I'm free at last. Yeah, I'm free at last. Dine bølger, de vælter ind. Dine bølger, de vælter ind. Slikker mine sår. Vinter bliver så småt til forår. Jeg er endelig fri. Endelig fri. Your waves, they roll on in. Your waves, they roll on in. Wash away the pain. Wash away the remnants of the past. 'Cause I'm free at last. Oh, I'm free at last.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
And yeah, just picking up where we started, I guess also a big part of the idea of creating, which is what you do when you are an artist. You are essentially creating, and of course you are not by any convention trapped or isolated. Of course, what you do belongs to in part the collective unconsciousness as well, in the way that we all I guess kind of like resonate and inspire, you know, in some ways. So I guess that in that regard, the role of art is maybe well, I will say linked to inspiration, but in a way it becomes more than only inspiration. In a way, art can become concrete in the way that it manifests in a change of mentality in a community. In a change, it can manifest a change in the the collective unconsciousness of Jung, which will in a way also influence the society at large.
Yeah.
In that way, I think there are some things pointing out that, in a way, part of the role of the artist is to be the creator of new psychology, in a way, and be a creator of new psychology in a society, maybe at last as well, which also comes down to essentially trying to empower people to we were talking a little bit about this idea about the kind of like the science behind art and the science behind making music or making painting or composing, and it's of course a field of study that is limitless, more or less, you know, in information and in theory and in our history of thinking back in how has art been created and how has, in a sense, in prolongation of art, how has mythology arrived, and in prolongation of mythology, how has culture arrived, in a way.
Yeah.
Like in that regard, I guess that a big part of being an artist is also to kind of like try to become your own kind of creation, in a way, become your own to realize your own fiction, so to say, and to make your fiction real in a way.
Yeah, that's definitely also something Jung talks about. You know, this. You know, one thing is mythology and I guess stories, and also our personal myth. You know, like what is it? You know, what myth are we living out? And I think one of the reasons why stories are so compelling, and you know, like we go watch all these movies, it's like, what is it? like there's something there that it's like when you watched a good movie or you read a good story, you're really like, whoa, it touches on something, you know, and that I don't think we're even really, we're not really aware of it, why we celebrate certain stories and I mean, I don't know if there's an answer to any of this. It's just in terms of I mean, these questions like what's the science and what's the role of art is something I constantly ask myself also, you know, and I've had to do it many times to why is this meaningful, or is it even meaningful, you know, to continuously sort of be in this process of learning, becoming, and being open to receive new ideas. Sometimes it's exhausting, you know, to constantly be in this open, receptive, sort of always learning as I go. You know, but I mean, as an artist, you know, all I hope for is if you can touch people, you know.
In our society, how can it be possible that the artist is kind of like a person who can kind of like work towards creating a structure that is as powerful that it can actually manifest in a real kind of like physical change in society. Like for instance, I will say that probably today some, at least in my opinion, I would categorize psychology as kind of a religion in itself.
Yeah.
In the way that it's kind of like a religion that also goes hand in hand a lot with our current economic paradigm of living in this capitalistic society that's transforming at the moment, but still it enforces kind of like a kind of like cultural kind of like doctrine towards its people, and that's why people will be evaluating themselves regarding the religion, so to say, of psychology. Whereas in other kind of cultures, you have a different methodology, and you will see that especially in you will see like how widespread the changes of kind of like of this religion and their methodology, how different kind of shaped than our Western society you have there.
So you mean this, like the difference in like different cultures, they have, you know, these different value structures, and how it influences art, or rather,
how do you think it's possible for art to create a methodology as so strong that in a way it can kind of like overtopple the state governed religion?
Well, I mean,
of psychology in this case.
Yeah. I mean, I like to sort of how to say it, reference it to my own experience of art as a transformative and healing tool. And there's a lot to be said, I guess, about the society we live in and what kind of art arises, you know, modern art. And it's not something I've delved too much into, but I do believe that, yes, there is a power in art and there's a power in beauty to transform and to touch people. And I mean, what it can open to and what the future holds for art, I think it's hard right now to even comprehend with all these new technologies coming out, and just for me the value in it is sort of, I guess there's like my personal process with it, and then there's an interest in understanding beauty as a sort of more universal force. I mean, because we have culturally, I'm influenced, of course, to understand what beauty is. There's that, but I do believe there is sort of a deeper level of something universally true. I mean that there is some underlying structure, and I think beauty has this power. Maybe sometimes we think about beauty as a sort of fragile little flower that like it's gone. But I actually think that beauty has real power behind it. If it's true, if you can say so.
It can be a way to orient the world more towards yourself, maybe.
Yeah.
Without sounding too egotistical, but an idea of orienting the world towards your own ideas.
I've just recently had some sort of new, I wouldn't call them breakthroughs, but new inquisitive, curious sort of, because I've when it comes to painting, at least I've always had an appreciation of the past, and the people who came before, and to the craft of painting, so let's say I want to look at something, I want to work directly with nature, not with my screen, not with picture. I want to look at something and I want to try and capture it with a paintbrush. And in that there's a sort of an emptiness from the let's say the psychological sort of thought structure, because it's like it's right there. It's like you can look at this thing. This is how it is. And I had this experience of like, wow, well, what if I align myself with this, with reality as is, if you can say it like that, like the cup is here, it looks like this. I mean, it's new for me, but in painting, I can then see there's like a universal sort of truth, because I can represent something as it is. I don't really have to impose my own political, ideological views. I'm not even trying to convince people to change or to not. It's not really coming from that space. It's more like a universal sort of truth. But this is just what I'm exploring right at the moment and starting to sort of feel into, and it all sort of ties in with my own process, also with Jungian analysis. So it's like I'm very much in a process of rediscovering what role art plays in my own life, and I mean the bigger questions of why is it meaningful to pursue art, and I mean it is for me, it helps me to make meaning, and when I have meaning, life becomes more bearable. I mean, it's like it becomes to be in a world where I feel a sense of purpose and meaning. And I'm also not, it empowers, I think art can empower the individual to become a creator and to take part in life, to not just be a victim of whatever new thing is going on in the culture at large, to sort of
the power that being.
Yeah. I mean, you can get lost in all the stories and all the horrible things, and I think it's important to, of course, not be ignorant of the suffering that's happening around you, but to some degree sort of take responsibility for your own life. And because it's too easy to sort of, there's so many excuses we can find for ourselves to not do the thing we want to do because, oh, well, you know, why should I do it? And this is something I struggle with myself, you know, to continuously sort of align myself with what feels true to me. And yeah.
Cool. I will say it was a very big pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah,
Lasse.
thank you.
I wondered if you would be up for playing us out with a song or two.
Yes, sure. All right. Yeah, let's do that. But which song? All right. So I want to play a song that I wrote years ago when I was living in Australia. I think I forgot when I wrote it. It's called A Rose Riddle. Yeah. It's funny to revisit these songs because often the lyrics at the time they seemed very sort of like on point, and now it's like, well, how does this? Yeah, so it's like an old friend. Tell me a riddle, little rose. Tell me a riddle, little rose, about how to love and how to let it go, about your way and where it might go. As I open, 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 oh, open, 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 my eyes, my heart, my eyes, my heart, and my soul. Tell me a riddle, little rose. Tell me your riddle, little rose, about your love and how it unfolds. And if I'm not, then who's in control? As I open, 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 oh, open, 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 oh, open, 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 my eyes, my heart, my eyes, my heart, and my soul. Open, 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 open. Oh, open, 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 open. My eyes, my heart. My eyes, my heart, and my soul. Okay, I think I want to get the
Yeah.
charango out then.
All right.
Your ever-changing tides wash over me. Your currents and your waves swallow me. Guided by the ocean breeze, I let go. And so it goes, that your ever-changing tides wash over me. Your currents and your waves swallow me. Guided by the ocean breeze, I let go. Twisting, turning, always learning. Twisting, turning, always learning. From the seeds that we have sown, yeah, the seeds shall make you grow into stories yet untold. Oh, the seeds that we have sown. Your ever-changing tides wash over me. Your currents and your waves swallow me. Guided by the ocean, I let go. And so